Hello everyone, it's Skippy, and this here is what I'm hoping will be the first of a series. I've been struggling for a while now with coming up with ideas for videos, which is why you haven't really seen all that much from me lately, but I think I've finally got something. This here is the first episode of the I Love Blank series, where I just sit and gush about the things that I love. And I thought, what better way to start than the game I've held close to my heart for almost a decade, and also inspired my username, Earthbound. I'd assume if you're clicking on this video, then you already know well enough what Earthbound is, but for the few who don't, I'll give a brief synopsis. Earthbound, or as it's known in Japan, Mother 2, is a JRPG released in 1995 for the Super Nintendo. Rather than the medieval fantasy settings that were dominating the RPG genre at the time, Earthbound was set in an, at the time, modern, pseudo-American country called Eagleland. Our protagonist is Ness, or whatever you decide to name him at the beginning. A baseball bat-wielding, cap-wearing 13-year-old boy with psychic abilities. Along the way, you gain 3 more party members who can also be given custom names at the beginning, but are canonically Paula, a user of strong PSI, Jeff, a mechanical engineering genius, and Pooh, the prince of a foreign land. Together, these chosen 4 must defeat the evil Gygus and save the world. It's not exactly the deepest nor the most original plot for a video game, but Earthbound isn't really renowned for its plot. Rather, Earthbound is renowned for its clever, witty writing and engaging gameplay, as aggravating as the inventory system is. With the recent re-release of Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings, which I, still haven't played, on the Switch, I found myself picking the game up again and playing it to completion within like a week. For some background, I've started Earthbound many times before, but it wasn't until the Switch release that I actually finished it. The first time I tried playing it on the Wii U Virtual Console, I was about 9 years old and stupid and bad at video games. I got stuck in Peaceful Rest Valley and never touched it again. That was until around last year, when I decided to give Earthbound another go on an emulator. I was doing perfectly fine, but one day I just stopped playing and didn't start again. Not for any real reason. ADHD is just like that sometimes. I've been halfway through the 3rd season of My Hero Academia for the last year and a half for the same reason. I just sort of resigned myself to thinking I would never finish the game for myself. Until it came out on the Switch right after I'd bought a Switch Online subscription for the Animal Crossing DLC. That's when I decided to finally get my ass in gear, shove my Joy-Cons into the little comfort grip thing, open up the Starman.net walkthrough because ultimately I am still stupid and dumb and bad at video games, and finally beat Earthbound. And let me tell you, this game had me hooked. I was playing almost non-stop, pretty much only taking breaks to charge my Switch because that thing's battery runs out faster than something that's battery runs out fast, I don't know. I was about 2/3 of the way through when my mom invited me to a Super Bowl party at her friend's house. I went because I like her friends, but I also brought my Switch and spent the whole time sitting with the TV tray in the back of the room playing Earthbound with the walkthrough open on my phone. It was that captivating. And you know, not to flex or anything, but I don't think I died a single time during my Earthbound playthrough. Not even in One-Ed or Magicant, though there were definitely some close calls. I'm very proud to say that I only killed 1 flying man. Definitely not because I only took 1 with me, because I felt too bad to kill any of the other ones. I can't say the same for my Mother 3 playthrough, but that's a story for another video. Difficulty-wise, I think I struggled infinitely more with the regular enemies than I ever did with the bosses. Almost every boss fight the walkthrough said would be tough was an absolute cakewalk, and I don't think that little bit of grinding I did at the beginning to fill my inventory up with cookies so I wouldn't have to carry around the Soundstone really mattered all that much in the long run. Honestly, most of the bosses went down so fast it started to remind me of when I played A Link to the Past for the first time and just absolutely obliterated Cold Stare within less than a minute. God bless the Quake Medallion. And in this game, God bless PSI freeze. Seriously, why would you use any other PSI unless the enemy resists freeze? I mean, come on. At the risk of sounding redundant, considering that this is the complaint everyone has, the inventory and shop systems are really annoying. Your inventory is really small, and half of Ness's inventory is going to be clogged up with key items that serve absolutely no purpose as a usable item. Like, seriously, half of these could have just been things Ness is implied to have, like the ATM card or the receiver phone, and it would change nothing. The shop menu is also really tedious. I don't understand why the developers felt the need to force players to buy and sell items one at a time. By the time I made it like a quarter of the way into the game, I was used to it and it didn't really bother me anymore, but I can recognize that it's objectively just a hassle. Like I said earlier, I never got a game over in my playthrough, but I did have party members go down in battle quite a few times, and my biggest gripe there is that when you revive Paula or Pooh at the hospital, their PP doesn't restore. What is the point of this? Why make me hike my ass all the way over to the hospital, spend upwards of $600 just to revive everyone, only to then have to make another detour to a hotel to pay another few $100 to restore their PP? That whole ordeal is why in the mid to late game, I just made sure everyone had at least one secret herb or horn of life or cup of life noodles in their inventory to revive each other if needed, along with some PSI caramels and the truffles I found in Deep Darkness. It's just easier to heal up with items in the middle of a dungeon than have to slog your way out and start over again. I've also heard people complain about the slow walk speed, but honestly, it didn't really bother me. It wasn't unbearably slow, and I never felt like I wasn't moving quick enough unless I was being chased by an enemy, and in that case, I think that might be the point. But I think that's enough negativity for now. This video is supposed to be about how much I like this game, so let's get back on track. Like I said earlier, Earthbound isn't exactly known for having the most compelling or original plot, but rather for its absolutely stellar writing. And by that, I mean dialogue. Everyone, and I mean everyone, in this game has something funny and unique to say. You can get loads of entertainment by just walking around towns and talking to the various NPCs. And not all of the dialogue is silly or comedic. There are a few genuinely heartfelt lines in this game that really stuck with me. "We had fun one snowy day," a snowman in Magicant says. "I melted, but I am still real in your memory." Magicant itself is one of my favorite locations in the game. The enemies are certainly annoying, especially with only Ness in your party, but the dialogue and the imagery and the insight into Ness's character is absolutely spectacular. The only area that I think beats out Magicant for me is Tucson, simply because the atmosphere is just so nostalgic and cozy. The Tucson theme is my favorite song in the game, and also Paula is my favorite character. Speaking of the characters, specifically the Chosen Four, while we might not get much insight into who they are thanks to their sparse dialogue, I think what we do have is more than enough, even with Ness, who never speaks a word. Hell, I'd say especially with Ness, considering Magicant. I think I'm starting to run out of things to say. I don't want to start repeating myself, but what else is there? Oh yeah. I guess it's time to address the elephant in the room. The final boss. Gygus. The battle with Gygus is one of the definitive highlights of this game. I said I didn't struggle much with the Sanctuary bosses, but Gygus can really slap you around if you aren't prepared. I had never been more thankful for Ness's ridiculous stat boosts after leaving Magicant, because he pretty much single-handedly kept the rest of the team alive. Even though I'd seen this before, I'd watched Let's Plays and been obsessed with this game since I was a kid. Not even I could escape the profound unease one feels when fighting Gygus. His design is just not appealing to look at, in a good way, obviously, and his dialogue is... ugh. In the end, there's only one way to truly win this fight. After what's felt like an eternity of wailing on him, your attacks just don't work anymore. There's only one option, and that is to pray. Paula's prayer reaches all the people you've met across your journey, from Onett to Delam, and in turn, they all pray for Ness and his friends' safety. But it still isn't enough. And after all of them, the prayer reaches you. Yes, you, the player, sitting in your gaming chair, probably eating chips or something. You've probably been subconsciously praying for Ness and Co. to win this battle too, and your prayer is the last one the party needs to defeat Gygas, once and for all. It's a beautiful, amazing ending to a beautiful, amazing game. And that, my friends, is why I love Earthbound. If you happen to have a Switch Online subscription or literally any device that can run or emulate Super Nintendo games, for the love of God, please give it a try. I promise you won't regret it. Anyways, leave a comment down below if you've got something to say, leave a like if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, hey, I'm all for honesty around here, and subscribe if you want to see more. I guess I'll see y'all later. Peace.